City was the safest big city in the free world. It just was. And you felt it. And it is no longer that way. And when even city councilmen like Vernikov are afraid to take the subway, things have fallen. I see Jeremy Loffredo standing by now. Let's go to him. Jeremy, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Well, great to see you. My friend Sheila Gunn Reid is with me. And you're in New York City tonight, I take it.
I'm in New York, yes.
Well, now you can tell us, because we're not there and you are, what are the real issues on the street? I know there's pet progressive issues, whether it's transgenderism or Roe v. Wade, and I'm not saying those are not important issues. I have strong opinions on them myself. But for people who are not political hyperactivists like you and me and Sheila, for severely normal people, I got to think that the economy and crime are top of mind issues in New York. You tell me if I'm wrong.
Definitely. What they're saying right now is, other than murder, crime is not on the rise in New York, which is not the best way to look at things. Crime is definitely on the rise in New York, and people from all walks of life feel it. Whether you're a progressive, you might not admit it. But everyone knows that crime is on the rise here. It's dangerous in your nicest neighborhoods and in your not so nice neighborhoods. And I also think, other than crime, you have, COVID, whether or not it's still, here circulating. This is the epicenter. We had 10,000 small businesses closed just in this city. People were put out of work. People saw the CARES Act get passed, which is, trillions and trillions of dollars of taxpayer money, American taxpayer money, getting given to corporations who were at the same time censoring people and forcing the jabs on people. People are not happy with progressives, I think, in New York, and I think Lee Zeldin has a good chance right now against Kathy Hochul.
Well, tell us a little bit more about Kathy Hochul, because, of course, I think the whole world followed Governor Cuomo and his brother. It was quite a tag team, the governor and then his brother at CNN. And he was sort of the COVID hero, at least to the left. He was the lockdown king, and they were swooning about him. But then he was sort of hustled out of there over a series of Me Too accusations. And he said, no, that's just me. I'm a touchy-feely Italian American. I hug, I kiss, and it's tough to know on these things because he said, she said, but hey, the Democrats made the rules. And the rules are, if there's an accusation, you believe them. So he was hustled out of there. I think he protests that it wasn't democratic. Kathy Hochul was installed. So am I right? So she hasn't actually faced the electorate before for this office. Am I right?
You're entirely correct. She's not leading New York democratically. She's never been voted by anyone. And it was interesting when our last governor got, kicked out. It was because, maybe he touched someone, maybe he hugged someone too long, this or that. But at the same time, he was responsible for, thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of old care facility deaths, all of our grandmas and grandpas. He was at the forefront of that scandal. So it's funny that you get kicked out for maybe touching somebody, but not because you killed tens of thousands of elderly people. And then you're replaced with someone who was not even elected. So the people of New York really have not had good leadership in several years with this governor or the last one.
Yeah, I forgot about that, and I shouldn't forget about that, because he literally sent sick people into senior centers to store them. When I knew that the pandemic was overblown, that it wasn't going to turn the world into a zombie movie, was when Donald Trump mustered the two giant hospital ships, one in New York and one in Los Angeles, these enormous military floating hospitals that were built for hundreds and hundreds of casualties in a war. And those ships were parked off each coast, and they were never used. They were never needed. And I knew then that we had been sold a pig in a poke. Hey, I want to show you something, because I couldn't even believe it. And let me invite Olivia and Efron to find the clip of Kathy Hochul speaking at a Christian group, I presume, about how she wanted them to be their apostles, and Jesus would say, take the vax. Efron and Olivia, I don't know if you saw that. I retweeted it the other day. You could find it pretty quick. But I just sent you on Slack a picture of Kathy Hochul with her necklace. Now, some people have a cross or a Star of David on a necklace. A lot of women have their name on a necklace. It's usually a gift given to them. You can have a heart there, but you see Kathy Hochul's necklace there. Can you read that? Can you read that? It says vaxxed.
Gross.
I swear to you.
That's her religion.
That is what because of course, that's her religion. That's her totem. That's her touchstone. That's, some people touch the rosary and they pray. Some people touch a cross. Jews sometimes kiss a mezuzah when they walk in a house. High tech, high touch. People touch things. What's important to them? They have something in their pocket. Maybe they have a fidget Twizzler. This woman thinks and touches and every time she looks in the mirror, she sees who she is. A tattoo can sometimes sum up a feeling or a part of your identity. Kathy Hochul's identity is being vaccinated. I think that is super creepy. And that is her today. That's not just her 2 years ago. That is her today.
Yeah, she had that. I think the speech that you're referencing was when she told people that, Jesus Christ gave us this vaccine. And if you love Jesus Christ, you need to protect your family members and get the vaccine. And, now we know it doesn't stop transmission. But that aside, it's a crazy thing to say and a crazy thing to invoke when you want people to get a medical treatment. And at the same time, everyone saw this happen in New York. It was actually covered by the mainstream media here. She tried to get, she tried to pass legislation where people who have coronavirus or any communicable disease would be put in, a COVID camp, would be put in isolation run by the state. And the Supreme Court of New York actually struck that down and said, this is illegal. You can't do this. This is illegal. And everyone saw that and said, okay, it's illegal. And you'd expect the governor to say, okay, I'll respect the law. But no, she immediately, she appealed this decision and everyone saw this. So everyone saw that she wanted to lock people up illegally and she's never been democratically elected. And now she's asking people to vote for her. And I think that's going to reflect very poorly on her at the polls.
It's very interesting to me to observe a movement in New York City. And frankly, just a couple of weeks ago, the New York Supreme Court, not exactly, we're not talking about Texas here. We're not talking about red state here. We're talking about the New York Supreme Court issued the most stunning ruling that people who had been fired for not being vaxxed not only get their job back, they get back pay. And the ruling itself outlined that the whole moral and legal and logical basis for the vax mandate and vax passports was that you have to protect others because the vaccine stops transmission, and that has been proven to be not true. And I find that incredible. And again, very underreported. I can assure you, if that Supreme Court had ruled the opposite way. So there's a whole counterculture in New York of people who I think would call themselves liberals, probably call themselves pro-choice. A lot of them are mums. A lot of them are in the public sector because that's where a lot of these vaccine mandates came, whether it was cops or firemen or paramedics or teachers. So it's very interesting how this abusive top-down vax madness turned people who I know would have voted Democrat before, I know it, turned them into skeptics. Sheila, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that she's doing this all over the place, old heretical Hochul. She's mobilized the Orthodox Jewish community against her. They've come out and endorsed Lee Zeldin. And one of the reasons they've done that is her inability or her lack of desire to do anything about anti-Semitic attacks that are happening quite openly on the streets of New York. And the Orthodox Jewish community is suing New York State, particularly the Jewish Gun Club in Rockland County. We've covered them before in the past. I know I have. I think you have too. That Governor Hochul's legislation that bans permit holders from carrying weapons into sensitive locations, including places of worship or religious observation. So that's even in a private home where you might be gathered for Bible study, prayer group, whatever. They're saying that this puts them at risk. And she passes this not even 3 years after the Muncie Hanukkah attack, where Orthodox Jews were stabbed praying over Hanukkah. and they would not have been allowed under Hochul's new law to carry a firearm to defend themselves. And so they've endorsed Lee Zeldin now.
I want to show you that speech just before I forget about it. I want to show you that speech where I didn't know she had this vaccine until she mentioned. I just want you to see this. And, there's something about Democrats. When they go to certain black events, they take on a black patois, which like a kind of accent. Like Alexandria, can you find the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez video of her doing that like a couple of weeks ago, Olivia and Efron? I just got it. Like Hillary Clinton did it so famously. Like she would go on black radio shows and say, "Oh, I got hot sauce in my purse." Well,
right.
Because I'm just like you. Like it's so condescending and so stereotypical.
There's that one speech that she did where she went into like full.
Oh yeah, full black pastor preacher accent mode.
Yes.
See if you can get the Hillary one, but I want to show you that Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez one because it's just incredible. It's just so incredible. It would be like someone saying, "You Jews, I like you. I'm just like you. I really like money. I like you. You know what? I'm like you Jews. I like money." And I sort of like sticking together with my kind. So I'm like you guys. Like that's how it feels to me. And it is so fake. And to watch this clearly secular, pro-choice, secular Democrat in I don't even know what religious environment it would have been. And to see now I refer to the Christian Bible often, and I'm not a Christian, and I sometimes get it wrong. But I'm looking for meaning, and I'm looking for understanding, and I'm not doing it to fool anybody to think that I'm a Christian. But
we know you're a Jew.
Yeah, that's right.
We know.
Watch Kathy Hochul say, "You Christians, I'm just like you." And let me just give you my interpretation of what Jesus would do, because you can just take a look. Just take a look.
I prayed a lot to God during this time. And you know what? God did answer our prayers. He made the smartest men and women, the scientists, the doctors, the researchers. He made them come up with a vaccine that is from God to us. And we must say, "Thank you, God. Thank you." And I wear my vaccinated necklace all the time to say, "I'm vaccinated." All of you. Yes, I know you're vaccinated. You're the smart ones, but there's people out there who aren't listening to God and what God wants. You know this. You know who they are. I need you to be my apostles. I need you to go out and talk about it and say, we owe this to each other. We love each other. Jesus taught us to love one another. And how do you show that love? But to care about each other enough to say, "Please get vaccinated because I love you. I want you to live. I want our kids to be safe when they're in schools. I want you to be safe when you go to a doctor's office or to a hospital and are treated by somebody. You don't want to get the virus from them. You're already sick or you wouldn't be there." We have to solve this, my friends. I need every one of you. I need you to let them know that this is how we can fight this pandemic, come back to normal, and then start talking about the real issues that we have to. Fighting systemic racial injustice, which exists today. And if there's a denier, I will take you on any day because I've seen it. I know it exists.
All right, enough of that. I just wanted to show her religion. God wants you. I just want to let you guys know that I just came down. You see that hill back there? That's Mount Sinai. And I just climbed up Mount Sinai. And I had a little heart-to-heart with God himself. And my hair is now white. And there's a glow about me, and I'm carrying these 2 tablets. So only, not a lot of people talk to God. I just came down from Mount Sinai. I am a prophet, second only to Moses, and I suppose in the new book, Jesus. And I am here to say, God just told me that he wants you to take this Pfizer vaccine, and you're evil and stupid if you don't. So vote for me, okay, Christians?
The heretics are at it again.
It was a lot. And it's so funny, she will say she's anointed by, she has this relationship with Jesus Christ and get the vaccine. She wasn't even anointed by her constituents. She is, it's a really interesting thing. And just to go back to the, you said the court, undid the mandate, back pay, all these things, publicly. Right after the court said, you need to reinstall all of these workers and give them money, Kathy Hochul and her office appealed that immediately. So these workers who it was widely reported in the mainstream media are getting their jobs back and getting back pay, they're actually still out of work. No one has gotten their jobs back. And you would think that maybe she would want to give some people their jobs back because the court said that they're legally obligated to before, people go to the polls, but that's not the case.
And I'm looking for the Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez accent video, and I'm sorry to
AOC a few days ago, she said, obviously, like we say, our Iran is how we pronounce the country. She said, my brothers and sisters in Iran.
Oh, no.
And she said,
no.
She said it like not an American. It was really funny. It was clearly she was obviously acting like a Middle Eastern person. I don't know. She's constantly taking on different characters.
All the time.
Iran.
They do it all the time when they say Muslim instead of Muslim. I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, you know what? I appreciate her saying Paris instead of Paris because you know what? We'll have to leave that for another day. I can't quite find the video, but it's just it's very cringy. And I don't think Republicans do it. And I think the reason they don't do it is because they would instantly be torn up as a kind of vocal blackface, like it would like a kind of appropriation. I mean, sometimes when you talk to someone with a certain accent, you find yourself accidentally, using some of the, but it's just quite a thing. Listen, Jeremy, it's great to see you. Thanks very much. Time flies. I'm glad you're there in New York. There's important work to be done there. We have another American on deck. We're going to go across the country to the Los Angeles area. Our friend Joel Pollack, senior editor at large at Breitbart.com, who's standing by. So we'll say goodbye to you for now, Jeremy. Thanks very much for joining with those details from New York.
Freedom in 2022 is your right to disagree with me anytime on anything in your heart, online, or in the public square. Freedom in 2022 is also your right to live your life however you see fit without hurting me or, for that matter, being bothered by me. But freedom in 2022 is in very real danger under constant attack by Justin Trudeau through his censorship bills, his attacks on gun rights, his attacks on farmers, and his attacks on peaceful protesters. These people have even tried to denormalize our flag. At Rebel News, we're not afraid to have dangerous discussions that Justin Trudeau, the media, and big tech censors say we're not allowed to have. And we want to have them with you at our upcoming Rebel Live events, first in Toronto, November 19th, and again in Calgary, Saturday, November 26th. I'll be there with dozens of other Rebels and Rebel-adjacent free thinkers, and I hope that you'll join us. Just go to rebelnewslive.com to get your tickets today, but do not sleep on this, because these tickets are going fast. See you soon.